The night before my son's wedding, he stood in my kitchen and said something that broke my heart. Mom, don't come tomorrow. Amber thinks you'll embarrass us. So I stayed home alone in the house I'd worked 3 jobs to keep. Then, an hour before the ceremony, my phone rang. It was Amber, the bride, and she was crying so hard I could barely understand her. When I finally pieced together what she was saying, I realized my son had made a huge mistake. Hey there, friends. I'm Diane Foster, and I've got a story to share that I never thought I'd need to tell. It's about betrayal, heartbreak, and how the truth can come out in the most unexpected ways. Before I dive in, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Are you in a small town like mine or a bustling city? Drop a comment below. It's comforting to know I'm not alone, that there are kind souls out there who understand what it's like to give everything for your kids only to have it thrown back in your face. So let me tell you how I ended up sitting alone in my living room on what should have been one of the happiest days of my life. I raised my son Jason as a single mom after his dad walked out when Jason was just 3. We were left with a ton of debt and a mortgage I could barely handle. At 26, I had a little boy asking when his dad would come home, and I had to figure out how to keep our lives from falling apart. Those early years were tough. I worked as a waitress at a diner during the day, cleaned offices at night, and took in ironing on weekends. I wore the same 3 outfits for 2 years, and my hands were always rough and red from the cleaning chemicals. I cut my own hair in the bathroom mirror and bought shoes from thrift stores, only to resell them when they wore out. I was exhausted, sleeping only 4 or 5 hours a night, working double shifts, giving Jason the bigger portions at dinner, and eating whatever was left. My body ached, my feet were blistered, but I kept going because Jason was my world. But Jason never went without. He had new shoes every school year, the calculator he needed for math, the right uniform for Little League, and all the art supplies for his projects. When he wanted to join the debate team and needed money for travel, I picked up extra shifts. When he dreamed of going to college, I worked overtime for 3 years to help him avoid crippling student loans. I was so proud of him, my beautiful boy who graduated with honors, landed a good job at a marketing firm, and seemed to have escaped the poverty that had defined my life. He moved into a nice apartment, wore tailored suits, and drove a reliable car. I had given him that chance. Then, 2 years ago, he met Amber Westfield. I'll never forget the first time he brought her home. I cleaned the house for 3 days, even though it was already clean.